Greetings and salutations, guys. Welcome back to Stoffel Presents. Now, we normally have our developer interviews, which you know you all love. We've got something different today. While still game related, we are joined by accomplished author S.L Perrin.
Accomplished.
I think it's pretty sad to say you're accomplished. I mean, we've got a brand new book here that we're going to talk about today, 66 of the most important video games ever. Just at the side of me, I have Book of Deaths by S.L Perrin. I've got Micro Brits by S.L Perrin. You know, that's not even half of the books you published.
Yeah, I've got a few more coming as well.
I think it's fair to say accomplished author. You've got a fair few published books.
All right then, I'll settle for that then
again. Absolutely fantastic author as well. Absolutely love them. I love Book of Deaths. I love Micro Brits and 66 games because the gaming books, and I love it. But Book of Deaths goes into that same kind of category as the two gaming books because it shows your skill as a researcher. And you love finding these weird and wonderful stories.
Yeah, I'm always loving doing that. You know, the internet's an amazing place. You know, there's a lot of crazy stuff out there to find. I enjoyed writing that one.
So we're here to talk about 66 of the most important video games ever.
Yeah.
All right.
The new one.
First off, why 66? That's a weird number.
It is. I never settled on a number originally. The original title never had a number in it. And obviously I made my original list to kind of start the backbone of the writing on, and I was just adding to it, and eventually I just had this number, and I was kind of inspired by, you know, those like 101 films to watch before you die kind of books.
Yeah.
I was inspired by that, so I just wanted to put the number in there. So the number was just whatever it was. You know, I never set out to make 66. It just became that.
It was just books I was expecting like 50 or 100 or 101.
Yeah, a round number, yeah.
Yeah, you know, if it's not a round number, it's generally 101 or something like that.
Yeah.
66 is like, it's right in the middle of all of them. It's weird.
I know, yeah. That's just what it became. As I said, what it was. I was tempted to do 3 more just to get a joke in. 69.
69 giggling.
I was tempted, but I thought better of it.
When you finished the listing on 66 games, did you not a bit you just go, oh, I can fit another 4 in just to round it up to 70 or cut one out to make it 65?
Well, part of it, yeah, but then I wanted a number that stood out. You know what I mean? I wanted it not to be round, wanted it to be a bit different. So it kind of worked out well.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that actually. That's a fair point where it's, 50 top best games like 66. S.L Perrin does 66.
Yeah, why not?
How many got cut from the list? I know you talk in the book about how difficult it was, and some of them you've put in, you've taken out, you put in, you took out throughout the draft. So how many got cut?
That's why there's the honourable mentions at the end. There's a good, dozen or so there at the end. And I didn't really cut that many. I think there's probably 1 or 2 I didn't put in at all, but the ones that didn't quite make it are in the mentions at the end. So we're all pretty much there. It probably would have been about 80, to be honest with you, if I'd kept everything in.
I was just wondering, we're going to get, in a year's time, we're going to get 66 more games that are important.
It's possible. I'm not saying these are the only games, it's possible I could do more, but, I'm doing another gaming book at the moment that's different, so it won't be for a while anyway.
But what I like about this as well is you kind of stop any criticism straight in the front by putting the brackets according to me. And yes. The prologue is just prologue. The opening bit is
the intro,
going, this is mine. This is my opinion. But even though you said that, it's a very personal story a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's there's one I love. The name slipped me. I'm really crap now because the name slipped me. But there's one where you're talking about playing it in a pizza place as a kid, watching your older brother play the arcade machine.
Yes. There's a lot of that in it. I mean, all of my books have that kind of little personal angle to it because I've read other gaming books and they're very sterile. They're just information. And I think you kind of need that personality it makes it a bit more fun to read, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's straight from the bat, I think in the opening chapter, you have, I don't want to spoil too much of the book, but you have in brackets, don't leave this in for a lazy joke.
Yeah.
It's just like,
that's in the intro,
I love that.
That's the bit I say, what was it now? something about, if you don't agree with the list, mate, write your own book. And then I put that bit in the brackets. It's that little bit of humor in there.
But again, it's that personal story. I mean, there's a lot where you're talking about outrunning the arcade, and the Mazda. I think, is it Outrun with the Mazda machine and stuff?
It was Ridge Racer with the Mazda and the 3 screens.
But you're talking a lot about that. A couple of chapters back to back where you're talking about the arcades and the noises, the excitement.
And walking around the arcades and everything.
I genuinely felt like a little kid in the arcade again. I could feel, like I could imagine you walking around the arcade in awe, and I could hear the sounds again. And this is very, like you said, there's a lot of gaming books that are very style. This came out on this year, and this did this, but with you, it's very evocative that you were in that arcade.
Yeah, I mean, when I wrote Micro Brits, going back to that one, the first couple of drafts to that were very, very. I think I said to you, they were like a Wikipedia entry. It was just information. Then I started adding, a bit of personality and humor, and that came about like 2 or 3 drafts into that. But with this book, I knew I wanted to do that straight away. So right from the off, I was in there with the memories and the humor, and I think that's kind of become my style now. It's the next gaming book I do will be the same. It'll be, it'll have that little bit of sharing my memories and growing up and all that kind of stuff.
Well, there is. I did get that from this one, and I think I noticed it in this one more than Micro Brits, but I went back and read Micro Brits again. I noticed it was exciting. I kind of didn't appreciate it the first time.
Yeah.
But it's just very like, you mentioned you write another game book. I don't know what that book's about, but I know it's going to be like having a chat with an old friend.
Yeah.
I kind of know your personality. I know your memories now.
Yeah. Well, when you talked about Micro Brits, when I first did that, you said it wasn't like reading a book. It was like being down the pub with a friend talking about games, and I like that. I mean, that's the kind of style I'm going for now. A much more relaxed, enjoyable read.
I mean, we talk about memories with gaming and stuff. The cover, if for those that aren't as long in the tooth as us, is very Master System inspired.
Is it?
I remember the really shitty Master System covers.
Yeah.
Is that inspired by memories, or was that just for a bit of fun?
That was actually you. You remember on Facebook, you put up a discussion about why Master System covers were that shit.
Yeah, I think I put the Enduro race on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
We started talking about it, and at that time I was designing a different cover, and then I was looking at these Master System covers, and I went, actually, I kind of like that. And I've redone the Micro Brits one, so it's all got that same Master, because the Master System had that same unification, and it had the grid, and it had the colours and the text and everything, but the art was always all over the place. So I thought I could have fun with that.
Yeah, I don't think the art had nothing to do with the book, with the game. Sorry, like it just, this is Enduro. Oh, put a fucking pop art motorbike on.
Yeah,
that's the game. Like, there was no thought gone into it at all.
There's one called Action Fighter, and I think it's got like a magnifying glass looking at a bit of road. What does that tell you? Completely random, but I like that. So it allowed me to, kind of do an homage to retro gaming, and also put my own stuff in there as well. So
I know you've said within I've got Micro Brits here. But this is the second.
That's the older one. Yeah,
because I think I have this 5 times now.
You got the original.
I've got the original. Then I've got this one.
This one,
and then this is the one you sent me, which has got the
with the mistakes
on. Because I remember you changed the cover, so I bought it again because I was hoping to get this, but it had changed before it got sent out to me. And you sent me the new cover, so they've got Micro Brits in this cover.
Yeah,
and I must admit, it looks good on the shelf next to each other.
It does, because I'm going to do more gaming books. I want to have that, that
uniform
in all the books. So, yeah.
It does take me back to my childhood of just like, it's like a set of games on the shelf,
That's kind of what I was going for. You can have like a gaming book, looks like a set of games, so it works.
I've got a couple of questions from my stream, because I gave a copy away in the stream, a signed copy away in the stream the other day, and there's a few questions that come up from it. So the first one I want to ask personally is, when you set out writing this, did you mean it to be as divisive as it is?
I don't know. I mean, it was always going to be a personal book, and I knew right from the off that not everyone's going to agree with my views and my opinion. But I never said, "Right, I'm going to sit down and intentionally try and piss people off or make people happy." I never did that. I just sit down to write my thoughts and my memories of gaming. So yeah, it is what it is.
Because I find it quite hilarious when we were talking on the stream and giving it away. Like, how I give it away was, I'm not going to say what the 66 games are in the book. But on the stream, I was like, you've got to guess 10 of the 66 games. And all I did was like, oh, you've got 7 out of 10. And won't tell them which one. So someone got 10 out of 10 and won it. But it caused so many arguments of like, why ain't this in there? Why ain't that in there? What do you mean that's not in?
Yeah.
And it was funny how angry people got really quickly.
Over a book.
Yeah, they've not read yet. It was essentially a list of games that were getting really angry over it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, obviously, I'm a gamer, and I know what it's like when you get passionate. I've seen people that have made videos and lists of games, and I've gone, I don't agree with that. So I kind of knew that was going to happen anyway, because I've experienced it myself. So, I did try to diffuse it in the intro, but until you read the book, you're not going to understand what the book's really about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like one of the ones that popped out when people got angry at is that there's no Final Fantasy VII in the list. Now, it's explained in the book why there isn't.
Yeah.
And
it's mentioned in the book. It's
very well explained. But just knowing there's no Final Fantasy VII in there got people really fucking angry.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you felt you had to put in because people get angry, or what it? Did you feel any pressure to put Final Fantasy VII in, for instance, or?
No. I mean, there was never any pressure to put it in there because it's, in my opinion, I don't think it's that important, and that's what the book's about. It's about important games and my personal pick. So I never felt any pressure to put it in. And also the other Final Fantasy games in there, I'm not going to say which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's in there instead. And I think that pretty much covers it, because it's the whole. No, Final Fantasy is in there. It's just not that game.
Yeah, and in that chapter you explain why that Final Fantasy and not 7.
Yeah,
and it's very well written, very perfectly reasonable excuse. But it was a good selling for me. It's a good selling point. It's like, what do you mean 7's not in there? Well, you have to buy it and find out why it isn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another one that's not in there that got people really angry. And again, I don't want to talk about too much that's not in, but this has been brought up so many times, is there's no Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Not even in the honourable mentions.
No. Why? I've got to admit, I'm not a Sonic fan. But saying that, there are games in the book that I admit I don't like. But I don't know. I don't think Sonic's important, really. I think other platform games did what Sonic did before it and after it, and it's just. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying I don't think it did anything that really stood out.
But this is the thing that I have to keep pointing out to the stream when they're trying to win the book, was they're not great games. They're important games. They're not good games. They're important. And there's a couple of some of the worst games of all time are in there.
Yeah,
but for a good reason.
Because
they're important. Yeah. But I personally, I looked at it, there's no Sonic, and then I was sat there thinking, is Sonic important? Like what? Because all the games you go like, this is the first side-scrolling and beat 'em up. This is the first multiplayer, the first online, the first stealth game. Like, I don't think there isn't anything Sonic does apart from probably beat the fast.
It was fast. Yeah, that was basically it. And
but then I was thinking, possibly, what about the mascot wars? Didn't Sonic and Mario start the mascot wars between consoles?
Yeah, they might have. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, but I always thought that was more of a Sega versus Nintendo more than the mascots. You know what I mean? I think that rivalry would have been there no matter if Sonic existed or not. So, it's...
fair point. We're trying to think, because I was talking to my fiance, and it's like, but it's not in there. I'm like, but why should it? It's not done anything groundbreaking apart from go really fast.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just.
Yeah, well, but while we were discussing it, I'm going, but it started the console wars. It gives when Sega moved to that edgy. Remember that really crappy, cringy 90s adverts that were really edgy and cool?
Yeah.
It was like kind of Sonic kick-started that. And it was like...
Sonic was cool, wasn't he? While Mario wasn't. That was kind of what they were going for.
So I was like, that's important from a marketing sense and how games get marketed since. So I kind of thought it'd be in there for that, but...
Yeah. Well, I could do another book.
It's in the next one.
It's possible,
But this is the thing I love about this book is how conversational it is. So it's a damn good read. I enjoyed reading it. But then my missus, who isn't a very big gamer, we had like a 4-hour discussion one night about what games should be in there. And she's not a big
Right.
gamer, but we still have that conversation.
Yeah, I'd love people to talk about this book more. I mean, if you're going to sit there and read it, and then afterwards you're going to go, "Hang on a minute, I need to talk about this." That shows how good it is. It's a lasting book. You know, it's not something you're going to read and then forget about. It's going to stay there for a while. So I'm well pleased about that.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect conversation starter because, as you said, these are your thoughts are according to me.
Yeah.
So it's your opinion. You say that right at the beginning, but everyone's got an opinion on games.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own list of what should be in there and shouldn't.
I know. I could do another 66 list. It'd be completely different games. You could do a list and it'd be different. So it's always going to be different. I know
it creates that conversation. That's just that not an argument as such, but it starts a debate.
Yeah.
Not a book you just read and put down. You go, I've just read this, right? No, do you read this one in? And what do you think should be in here? Can you guess what's in it? And it starts that fantastic debate. I absolutely love it. But going back to the questions I got from the chat, why do you hate Sonic?
I don't hate Sonic. I don't hate Sonic at all. I don't think it's that amazing. You know, there were games in this book that I outright say that I don't like. There were games in this book that are really, really bad. But Sonic, yes, Sonic's all right. I don't hate it. I just didn't stand out for me.
Like, ask him about Sonic, and then later on ask him why you hate Sonic.
There's no hatred at all. I just don't think it's that important. I don't think it's that big, you know.
One of the chapters that I love in the book, where you just said there, like some of the games in there you don't even like.
Yeah.
One of the chapters I love is World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Because you just straight outright go, I don't like this game. But for the purpose of this book, I started a free account and played it.
Yeah.
I still don't like this game.
Yeah. It's more sort of the genre of the massive multiplayer games. I'm not a big fan of them. But I like the previous Warcraft games, the RTSs before World of Warcraft. But yeah, I mean, every game that's in this book I played as I was writing the book, every single one of them.
I mean, this is the thing you're thinking about MMOs and stuff. I someone who played World of Warcraft about 5 years solid.
Yeah.
And then just stopped dead because I don't know what, one day it just hit me that this entire game is go over here, collect 10 of them, bring them back. Go over there, collect 20 of them, bring them back. Go over there, kill 10 of them, come back.
Yeah.
And it was like, as soon as I twigged that what the game was, just lost all appeal to me.
Yeah, all MMOs are like that, though, aren't they? There's no real backbone to them. It's just do this, do that.
Carry, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. I mean, I had to put World of Warcraft in there because it's huge, it's massive, you know. So I do think it's important, but I'm not a big fan of it.
And I think World of Warcraft deserves to be in. I'm not arguing that. I played for a while. It's probably blew up the MMO scene.
Yeah.
And I might be wrong. You're probably more informed than I am as the researcher. But as far as I'm aware, as a gamer, it was the first game as service type thing. It was the first subscription to a game.
It might have been, yeah. I mean, there were MMOs before it. But yeah, I mean, so I'm not huge on World of Warcraft, so I don't know it that well. I played a free account just for this book, and that's it. So my experience with it is very slight, but it might have been for as far as I know. Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely the first game I knew, the first game I played, where I paid 40 quid for the game and then £9 a month to play it.
Yeah,
that's mental.
Especially when you play it for 5 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of money went down.
Yeah, soon adds up.
So how hard was it to come up with that final list then?
The final list wasn't that hard. It was the initial list that was hard, because just to start the book, I came up with I just wrote down a list of games, and I think it was like 42 out in total, 45, something like that. And then I put them in chronological order because I wanted the book to kind of be a trip through history. So you start doing a game and you go to modern day. And then just through drafts, it was like, oh, hang on, what about this game? And I just kept adding more and more games. And yeah, the final list, it wasn't that hard. It was that first 40-odd games that really struggled.
What was the criteria for that first list then? When you sit down and write a list of these from your knowledge of gaming, from your memories, what got on the list? It
was really just the instinct. I just sat there and thought, right, important games. And then I just started putting a list together. It actually started out as a again, like Michael Bridge, started out as an article on my blog. Because I wrote an article about my history in gaming. I went through like from the consoles I first started with. And from that, I kind of started to put this list of games together. And it just kind of came from that. So it was kind of subconscious, really, more than anything else.
I mean, there's a couple of games in there that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And there's a couple in there that are deep pulls, like deep pulls. I'm trying to remember I can't remember the name of it now off the top of my head, and I don't want to go for the book, but and I don't want to mention it, but I think there was a game that was like the precursor to GTA.
Yes, I know the one you're on about, yeah.
And I just sat there going, what?
On the Spectrum.
Heard of this. What you're on about? And I just put the book down and went onto YouTube.
Looked it up
and watched it, going like, that was a fucking thing in the 80s. Like, what the fuck? Like,
it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, some of these games were like, obviously games I grew up with, and you kind of forget about them after a while. And then as I was writing the book, I was going, hang on, what about this game? Because I actually, that game you're on about, I didn't put until probably the last couple of drafts. So I'd already written Grand Theft Auto and all that before it. And then when I was thinking about Grand Theft Auto, I went, hang on a minute, I remember this game from, when I was 8 or whatever. So I put that in it. And there are a few games in there that a lot of people aren't going to know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, King of Chicago and stuff. I had no idea, never heard of it, but it sounds amazing, and I want to play it now. I want to go find it and play it. But this again, it's going to keep coming. It's going to be a regular theme in the interview. Again, it's just like you've got some amazing games in there that I remember from my childhood, like School Days.
Yeah.
When I saw that on the list, because what I did when I read it, I didn't look at the list because you've got the list at the front.
Yeah, you just went straight to the
chapter. Skip past the list, straight to the opening chapter. Like I wouldn't be surprised every game. So when School Days popped up, I always knew I liked Steve. I always knew I liked him. Let's put this in because that was an important game from my childhood.
Yeah.
But again, being divisive and opinionated was that there's no Dizzy.
No.
But that was really important for me. And then looking back at it, like it's not important to gaming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's just I remember Thursday nights, my mum would take my sister to bingo, and me and my dad would sit at home and we'd play Dizzy on the Spectrum.
Yeah.
So this is not an important game; it's an important childhood memory.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I played Dizzy as well, Treasure Island Dizzy and all that. Yeah, I played the hell out of those games. But was it important enough to be in the book? No.
This is a bit like how difficult it is, because as someone who's read it and as a gamer, I've sat there and gone, oh, well, Dizzy should be in there, or Sonic should be in there, like we mentioned today. I only sit back and go, I fucking love Dizzy. But is it important? And then you have to admit that this game you love and you think is brilliant, you have to admit it's not important.
It might be important to you personally, you know what I mean? But that's why the book is a personal. Is it important to me? Not really.
Because what I like as well, like I said, there's games in there you don't like, but they're important to the games industry. So it's and there's stuff like, the first open world, the first side-scrolling beat 'em up. And what I love as well, and this goes how great a researcher you are, is that you debunk a lot of gaming first in there.
Yeah, gaming first, gaming myths, stories about gaming that I can't find evidence for. So I'm kind of going, well, is that true? It actually stems from Space Invaders, because I remember being told back in the late 90s that Space Invaders was so popular that Japan ran out of coins.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Which never made any sense to me.
No, but at the time I was like, okay, great, yeah. I actually believed it then.
Mm-hmm.
When I was writing this book, I put that in as fact. And then after I wrote it, I went, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense. How would Japan run? I know, explain in the book why Japan wouldn't run out of coins. And from that, I started to look at other myths. I started to question it. And, so every time I found a first or something, I'd go, hang on, I need to research this. And often I'd find it wasn't true.
I like how it goes across chapters. So you start off with sort of like Space Invaders is the first shoot 'em up. Actually, this came out in 78, or, the first ever book in the game. I'm not going to say what it is, but you go, it's called the first ever video game. Actually, it's or if you think of it this way, it could be this one. And then it goes on, and then you get like maybe halfway, 3/4 way through the book, and you go, it's the first blah blah blah, and then in brackets you go, you know where this is going.
Yeah, there's a few instances where I kind of have to
break the fourth wall sometimes. Are you right?
Yeah, yeah. It is though. I mean, it's kind of like I've got Rise of the Lost Ark in there on the 2600, and you search on the internet the first ever movie game, and it comes up with that, I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. If I'll explain why I don't think it is in the book. And there's a few of those in there that I've looked into, and I've gone, I don't think it is the first.
I love that level of research, because you don't just go like, I don't think it's the first. You go, it's not the first. This came out in 81. This one came out in 78. And I think there's one where you go, well, this is called the first blah blah, but it came out in November. This came out 3 weeks before.
I've had to really research exact dates so much on this, just to try and make sure that I get it right. Yeah, like Zelda being the first game with battery backup. I don't think it is.
What's the biggest thing you learned researching this then?
A lot of it was stupid stuff. Because there were quotes from the actual people who made the games in the book that I've really, really looked into, and it was some of my favorite stuff that I've learned was like Shigeru Miyamoto not being happy about James Bond killing people in GoldenEye. So he wanted to put a scene in the end where he goes around and shakes hands with everyone. And when I first heard that, I thought that's stupid, but I actually found an actual quote from the developer saying it's true. So it's stuff like that. It's really stupid stuff that you don't really think about. That I was like, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense. But when I found the quote for it, I was like, bloody hell, it's true.
Well, this is one of the things where you have a real talent for research and then using that to change people's opinions. So in Micro Brits, I've been, as most gamers of my age, we've come to hate Peter Molyneux.
Yeah.
I read Micro Brits and come away going, I think I messaged you and went, you twat, I feel sorry for him. She'll take my hatred away. And then there's a certain game in this book where you go, I feel bad for the people who, no, this is I should hate this game. I've always hated this game. But
I hate the game. I hate the game as well. But it's the story behind it that really opens your eyes, and you're like, I can see why the game was shit now.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the developer's fault.
No, it wasn't. But it's just always got this game shit is the Literally is. I think I can hand on heart say it's the shittest game ever made.
Yeah.
And most games would agree with
close. It's got to be close.
And then you read that chapter on it and you go, I feel really bad for them, but I've always hated them for releasing that.
Yeah.
And now I feel bad for them because of your research.
Yeah, that chapter surprised me because I didn't know the whole backstory. I knew bits of it, but when I was researching it, I was going, bloody hell, this is really kind of heartbreaking, to be honest with you.
It is. It's really, really. That's one of those where I'd finished that chapter and I put the book down for a day. Just because it was sort of like I need to go do something else, and if I can go read the next chapter, I need to cleanse myself a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm now going into the next chapter with this saddened mood. How important was it to put it chronologically?
That was pretty important because I just wanted people to go through this journey of gaming. Originally, I thought about doing it alphabetically, but then you're jumping around all over the place. You're going from year to year, and so doing it, from the start of gaming right through to modern gaming. I thought that shows the evolution of gaming as well. You can see how games have changed over the years.
And it's this one thing I found important that I realised when I went back and looked at the list after I finished reading that these are the most important games ever made, according to you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing from the last 10 years in there.
Can you think of anything important from the last 10 years?
I'm sure there's something.
There's a couple in the honourable mentions, but there's not in the main body. No, I mean, I kind of ended where it ended because of how it ended. Because that last one, I think how that has each kind of shows how games have changed over the years. You go back to the very first chapter. It's very stringent, these games in the arcade and few people played it. And then you get to the final chapter and it's much more open, isn't it? It's kind of like this game is now being used for education and teaching people. And I think that's amazing how games change. And that's why I kind of ended it there. I'm not saying that aren't any more important games. I'm just saying that journey needed to end there.
Yeah, I mean, I love there's a story in the book where you put it real. I'm sure it's dramatized and not as bad as it was. But there's a story where you're talking like you're going into a model train shop and asking for 2600 games behind the counter like a pervert.
Yeah. I kind of showing people what it was like to buy games back then, because we didn't have gaming shops. You couldn't, you could pop to your local supermarket now and buy a game. You couldn't do that back then. There were dedicated shops and they were hard to find. And I have kind of overemphasized it a bit, but it wasn't that different. It was kind of, you were treated kind of as if you were buying porn when you was trying to buy the game, because
The funniest bit I love about that little section is you genuinely had me laughing out loud reading the book, was that you're being looked down on by train spotters.
yes, that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of what I was going for, yeah, because gaming was very much an outside hobby back then.
Yeah, I mean, I remember on the Spectrum, I used to buy my games on the Spectrum, my pocket money, but I'd get my pocket money off mum and dad. Then I had to go to the post office to buy a postal order.
Yeah.
And I'd send it off in the post, and my game would come like a week later through the post.
Yeah, a little ad in the back of the magazine, you'd have to cut at it.
Yeah, you get a little ad in the back and like ring them up and order a game. And yeah, I remember doing that. Like,
it was really weird buying games back then. It wasn't as open as it is now, or as accepted gaming. So the way that gaming's changed, that's what's impressed me more than anything else in gaming. Better than any genres, better than any graphic advancements, is just how accepted it's now become.
Yeah, and how much it helps. So I do a stream once a year. I do a 24-hour stream to raise money for special effects. Creates controllers for the gamers, and it's like you think something like Mario. We think at Mario 1 now, and you go, "Oh shit!" compared to today's games.
Yeah.
And then last year we raised over £1,000, and that they sent us a video back where they built a wheelchair for a guy who's got locked-in syndrome.
Right.
So he controls his wheelchair by blowing on a straw.
Yeah.
So they hooked the straw up to a Nintendo. So if he blew on it, Mario ran automatically.
Who's playing Mario?
If he bit it, Mario stopped, and if he pulled down on it, Mario jumped. And
right.
And it's like you'd think they go, right, Mario's shit when we've got all these amazing games. And you see this guy his face light up just playing Mario, and you're like, yeah, that's how important games are.
Yeah.
And then to read that in that section of the book, where like they used to be hidden.
Yeah, they did though. I mean, it was really weird buying games back then, but as I said, just how accepted it is now, I think that's the biggest, most important thing in gaming, really.
And one thing I loved about the book, and it's embarrassing as a games journalist to admit, but I found out where roguelike comes from.
Yeah. You didn't know that's where it came from?
That's the name of a genre game. I know this genre game is roguelike.
You didn't know it was an actual game.
And I knew the difference between roguelike and roguelite, but didn't know where it came from. And I just like reading
that Rogue was a game.
I probably should have known that.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny because I'm playing Curse of the Dead Gods at the moment.
Right.
Which is a roguelike game. Yeah. Our favourite game of 2020 was Hyper Parasite.
Definitely, yeah.
We both like that genre game, and it's like, this is one of my favourite genres. I probably should have known where the name came from.
To be honest with you, a lot of people don't realise that, there was a game called Rogue, and that's where the whole thing started. So it's not that uncommon. It's kind of like Metroidvania. People don't know that Metroidvania is, Metroid and Castlevania. Yeah. They just think it as a genre. So
yeah, I mean, I knew that one. I'm not talking to them. I knew that one, but yeah, it was just like, I don't know what I thought it was. I don't know why it got named. I thought, oh, that's just a genre game. That's what it's called. Yeah. And I never thought to question why it is. So thank you for teaching me.
It's all right.
There's a I say slow burn joke on the cover.
Yeah.
How did that come about? I don't want to ruin the joke or say what it is, but there's something on the cover.
It is a spoiler. There's something on the cover that's a lead in to something, and you won't realise that it's what it is until you get it's halfway through the book, over halfway through the book before you get it.
Yeah. I was reading it, and I was like, I'm gonna go up to that bit, and I went, "You son of a bitch."
Yeah. The good thing about that though is I've actually hinted at the punchline before the punchline comes. You probably didn't realise it, but it is there.
Is it?
Yeah. Hang on, I'll see if I can quickly send you something. Hang
I
on a
was
minute.
thinking now because
Yeah,
yeah,
that joke though, that was.
that joke is genius. It's brilliant. I love it.
I said to you a while back that I've written the best ever gaming joke, and that's the one that I was referring
is
to.
that it? Is that what you're referring to?
I think it's hilarious.
I think it's brilliant, and
Yeah,
it's
just
not
sent you a
only
little
funny.
screen grab.
It's not only funny; it's intelligent because the reason you make it and what you're pointing out.
It's to make a very valid point.
You make a very valid, intelligent point about gaming today, whilst making a funny joke at the same time. I think it's well crafted.
It is. It is. I was really, really pleased with that, to be honest.
How did you come up with the idea to do that, to lay it on the cover?
I don't know, it's hard to talk about without spoiling it, isn't it? That's
Yeah, I'm trying to talk around it.
I don't know. I mean, it's something I'll probably have to tell you off air, not to spoil it, because I had other ideas, and it built to what it is now.
Sorry, I've just seen the picture you sent me, and I remember reading that word for word, and I did not see what you were alluding to.
I've built it. That's not the only one either. There are other chapters where I've put hints in, so the joke's there. The joke's slowly building.
And that is brilliantly done. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Sorry.
That's all right.
How did it come about putting it on the cover or the idea for
that? It just came when I was writing that chapter. The memory started to flood back, and I kind of wrote this ending about why I don't trust certain aspects of gaming anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wrote that, I was like, I need to put a reference into this first. And originally I put it in like the start. I put a different reference in the start of the chapter. So you would have, it would have been, the build up to the joke would have been there. Then the payoff would have been at the end of the chapter. And then I just thought, no, I need to extend this. I need to make this bigger. And the idea just to put something much, much earlier on came about. And then the idea to have a couple of hints along the way, and then you get the payoff. So it just kind of built naturally. It wasn't an instant idea. It just a very small idea that kind of grew and grew. And I was like, yeah, I like this now.
It's perfectly well crafted. Like, it was the point where you just sent me that, and I've just gone, oh, well played. So you've been toying with me all along. I'm going to go back and read it now just to scan it and see where you
find more clues.
Yeah. But you said there, the grip you said there, because these are the six most important games according to you, and you just said there's a lot of the game industry you don't trust. And I think we're both similar in the sense that we both have our websites. So I run stoffulpresents.com. You have littlebitsofgaming.com.
Yeah.
And I think we both started that because we were pissed off at game reviews.
It's kind of like gaming journalism. I don't really trust it. There are very, very few people that I trust in terms of gaming journalism. And that chapter you're talking about, there is a chunk of a letter that I bring up that a certain gaming journalist wrote, and he really, really rips into gaming journalism. Even back then, this is like back in the mid 90s, and it's still around there. And that really
this is 90% scores and a 5% score. Yeah.
And that still goes on today. It still goes on today, doesn't it?
It's like ridiculously goes on today. To the point, I know certain companies that are paid to give 9 out of 10s and 90%, and it's shocking. And that's why I started Stoffel Presents, was that I want it to be that if you read a review, it's either written by me or it's written by somebody else. It was an actual gamer. This is an actual thoughts. You can trust these guys, because it's just so corrupt, is games journalism.
I don't it's kind of a blanket statement, but I really don't like modern gaming journalism. I don't like it at all. And as I said, it's been going on for years, decades now, and it hasn't changed. And I'm just like, that's why, as you said, that's why you started your site. That's why I started my site. So you get a much more honest view, I
mean, you wrote an article on your site a couple of weeks back about your experiences in journalism with editors.
Yeah.
I found that gobsmacking. Like, I know some of the stuff that goes on in the industry, but then just reading it, it's just like being edited to be completely different from your opinion for it to cause an argument and stuff. And,
just to get clicks. Yeah.
But Didn't you deal with that in a very unique way?
Yeah. I suppose I'll tell a quick story. I'm not going to mention the place, but I used to write for a gaming and movie site, and they had millions and millions of subscribers and millions of viewers and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, in terms of my writing, I never ever got such a huge response before, because I actually had thousands and thousands of people reading it and thousands of people replying. And I wrote this article on a game that I didn't necessarily outright hate, but I found it hard to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really respectful to it. I pay respects to the people who made it. I pay respects to the game itself. I just said it didn't quite hit with me. And I sent it off to the editor. The editor then goes through it before it gets published, and they changed so much of it. They put in words that I don't use. They ended it with, if you hate this game as much as I do, let me know in the comments. And then I was inundated with all this abuse. And I was just like,
how comes it you? It's not your opinion.
Yeah. Even though I wrote it, I admit I wrote it, but I didn't write it in that way. And the editor changed it to be so vitriolic that I was like, I'm not happy about this. And I originally asked for my name to be removed. They refused. I asked for the article to be taken down. They refused. So because I still had access to my accounts, I just started uploading stuff to their site. Rather adult stuff. Rather naughty adult stuff, and basically it forced them to close my account and all of my stuff that I wrote for them as well, because they were still making money from my stuff. They were making money from the clicks. So yeah, I just kind of burnt my bridges with them. I said, no, I'm not having that. I'm not having you changing my work and, you know, causing that kind of upset, because it wasn't my intention. So
that is probably one of my favourite badass firings of all time. Is just like, you walked up my name for it, I'm going to upload porn to your site, so you fire me, and you have to burn everything I ever put.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I just, as I said, gaming journalism, I'm a fan of it. There's very, very few people that I will read and actually trust. So I'm talking big name sites as well. I'm talking huge game sites. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a few, but that's one of the things. But I saw your article, I was like, I think I'm safe reading this, because you wrote quite a lot of reviews for my site.
Yeah.
And I think the most I've edited is I might have swapped a paragraph round.
Yeah.
Because I thought the tone was better. But I've never changed your view or your opinion. Oh, like, I think I'm all right. I don't think I'm going to get a mention in this one.
No, you were safe in that one.
The other ones I'm knackered, but this one I was safe. So the book is out on the 1st of June.
Yes.
From Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
And you can buy all your other books from there. Now, this one's a little bit more expensive than your other books.
It's only a shade more expensive.
It's because you've released so many books, you've got that big-headed has been accomplished that you can up the price now, or...
No, it's because this one, it's a bit bigger. It's over 100,000 words. It's 70 pages more than Michael Britz, so I think the extra £1 that I'm charging is worth it.
It's a quid. It's not one to be thick.
I know you're having a laugh, I know, but yeah, I mean, also I have to cover printing costs, and if I charged what I was charged for Michael Britz with the extra 70 pages, I'm not going to make any money on it. So. Yeah,
I mean, I do love all your books have a sort of like a £10 price point, don't they?
Yeah.
So they're not too expensive, and they're quite accessible.
No. Well, the thing is, Amazon do free postage on when you spend £10 on books as well. So that's why I keep it at £10. So you don't have to pay for postage either. So there's that aspect, and you know they're cheap books for a tenner. You still get a hell of a lot of content there.
Oh yeah, I mean, the thing I love about them is the way you research and the way you write it is, it's not really possible to read this in a day.
No.
You know what I mean? I read quite fast. I read a lot of fantasy novels and I can read quite fast. But
yeah,
you can read like 2 or 3 chapters and you have to put it down and kind of digest what you've read. And like, because there's stuff in it, like the research you've done and the things I learned from this book, then I have to go like, right, now I know that, but where does that fit with my memories and my knowledge of gaming? And you can have to find a place for it to slot in, so you can't just sit and read it in one go.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wrote it so, you know, there's information there that you kind of go, hang on a minute, is that true? And then hopefully you'll go away and look it up yourself, just to kind of back up those initial thoughts. But yeah, I mean, there's a hell of a lot of information to take in. There's no way you can do that in one sitting.
I love that you keep the chapters quite short as well.
Yeah.
How hard was it to do that? Because I lent the book to one of my friends after I'd read it, and he absolutely loved it. He enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But one of the things he loved most for, he has a 20-minute bus journey to work.
Yeah, so you can.
And the chapter is just big enough to read a chapter to work and read a chapter coming home, and that's how he read it.
Yeah.
How hard is it to get the chapters that tight? And
it was actually, when I wrote the first draft, or when I started the first draft, starting with the very first game, I had my list of 40-odd games, as I originally said. And the first chapter was over 5,000 words. And I'll use that as an average. So I did 5,000 times 40 odd whatever chapters that I was going to do. And at that point, it was over 300,000 words for a book. This is 100,000.
A book, that's a ton.
It's a big book. And I was like, I can't put that out. That'd be ridiculous. So I went back and I edited this chapter and cut it back so much. I cut out filler, I cut out all the fat, and just had information and, you know, my little bits of humor and all that. And I cut it back to, I think it's like 2,500 words. I've got like half of the chapter cut down. I was like, that makes more sense now. You know, I could work with that. And so I kind of set a standard that I would, no chapter in that book is over 3,000 words, and there isn't a chapter under 1,000 words either. So I've got that gap there to kind of work with. And using that meant I had to get as much information there as possible. You know, so the chapters are crammed with so much information, but as you said, they're short and you can read 2 or 3 of them in one go. You can.
Well, I said the guy was reading it. My friend Alex was reading it on the bus to work and back. And one of the things he said about, like, and I don't know if he's praised for a writer or not, but John said there's absolutely no waffle.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to go for.
It's like, this is the game. This is what I'm talking about. This is what you need to know.
Yeah,
next game.
Straight to the point. And yeah, as I said, the first chapter I wrote, it was so full of filler that when I read it, I was like, you don't need half of this stuff. Just get to the point, get to the facts. And obviously that because I was covering what eventually became 66 games, if I'd kept to that 5,000 word count, Jesus Christ, this book would have been huge. It would have been like 600, 700,000 words. And I thought,
66 games part 1.
But yeah, I just had to trim it all back and make it concise, and it works. You can sit, as I said, you can sit there and read 2 or 3 chapters in a go, and I'm happy with that, and then come back to it later. So
how long did it take to write then?
From when I started, from when we're sitting right now, it's been just a shade over 1.5 years.
And is that slowly just working on that book, or you're writing others in between?
I'm always writing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have that book was my main focus, but obviously sometimes you get a bit tired of writing the same stuff, so you go, I'm going to do something else for a day or whatever. But generally speaking, I'd say 99% of it was just been this book for the last 1.5 years. And Mark Bits took me 2.5 years to do, even though it's a smaller book. But I approached this one differently with the research and everything, because with Mark Bits, I just researched 10 months in advance, made loads of notes. A lot of stuff I end up not using. So with this book, I said, right, I'm going to research and write at the same time. So every chapter, start with the first chapter, I'm researching that and writing and researching and writing, and then the next chapter. So I just researched what I needed, and it cut 1 year off from
Did you research them in I know the book's in chronological, so did you research them in chronological order?
Yeah, that first draft, yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously when I did the first draft, I added all the games in, but that first draft, it was right from the very start of gaming right up to where it is now. Yeah, it was all done in that particular order.
Because what a lot of you just looking there, like what you obviously got something else on the go, you're writing up things. So what would you write in alongside this? And the reason I asked that is I watched an interview last week with Robert Kirkman,
Right.
Who's the series Invincible has just finished on Amazon,
Right.
where you can buy this book from.
And others.
The cartoon Invincible has just finished on Amazon Prime.
Right.
And I don't know if you've watched that. It's amazing. It's brilliant.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Oh, just the train scene in the last episode is fantastic. Just watch the first episode. just for the ending. It's brilliant. But he was saying like this is just mental violence, batshit crazy superhero stuff. It was like, how did you? And he was going, oh well, I was writing The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And after writing that for so long, and every day, right, you just want to smash someone's face through a wall with a brick. So I went and wrote that.
Yeah.
And then I was writing Walking Dead, and it's serious and somber, and then I just want to hit someone with a train, and that's how Invincible came about. So when you're saying you're writing other stuff, while you're writing 6 games, the other projects you're writing, are they completely different? Are they kind of palate cleansing or escaping?
They are, yeah. I mean, I've got a short story collection that I'm halfway through, nothing to do with gaming. I've got another history-like book, like Book of Deaths, but covering a completely different subject that I'm going to get out for next winter. But yeah, I mean, they're completely different subjects. And now I've got 66 is done, apart from a bit of editing that I'm doing before the launch. And I've started outlining my next gaming book as well. So I'm now focusing on a completely different style, but I'm working on this gaming book in the background. And then once this other book's done, this new game book will be my focus. And then while I'm doing that, I'll be doing something else in the background that isn't gaming. So I'm constantly, I've always got like 2 or 3 books on the go, and they're always covering different subjects.
Did you ever find yourself writing one subject and going, no, that's for this book? I've just started writing this by accident.
No, I never get them mixed up, but you do, when you're covering a subject, you kind of want to, as you just explained with Walking Dead, you kind of want to do something else as well. So even though 66 has been my focus for the last year and a half, I've been doing a couple of other things in the background. And then now that's done, 66 is done, I'm concentrating on this book now. So it's just chopping and changing your routine, really.
I think that's one of the things as well, like talk about different genres, like all the books I own of yours, because I own quite a few. I think I've got 3 books of yours in multiple formats. But they're all research style books.
Yeah.
You've got a book which I'm going to buy next week, actually, which is fiction.
Proper novel, yeah. It's not actually available to buy now. I just had it out just so I can get some feedback from it. I'll need to do a bit more work on it. So you can't buy it at the moment.
Oh shit! I was going to buy it tomorrow. I get paid tomorrow. I was going to, because it's one of them looking at it. I'm looking at my collection, going, I've got this, I don't have that one.
Yeah,
and I know it's nothing to do. It doesn't fit with this collection that I've got, but
it's a vigilante revenge story. Yeah, but no, it's not available to buy them because I just want to do a bit more work on it. I've got some feedback off it, and I'm like, yeah, I need to change this and change that. So it's still going to be available, but not yet.
This is one thing that I love, that you release your book, but just because it's released doesn't mean it's done.
Yeah, I mean,
I bought Book of Deaths when it was released.
Yeah,
and then you very kindly sent me Book of Deaths again, this one here, but this has got an extra chapter in it to the one that I bought.
It's been tidied up. There's a couple of revisions and there's a whole new chapter in it. Yeah.
So, any of your books ever finished? Can you look at any of them and just go, that's done, I don't need to touch it again?
The thing is, I initially put them out there because I want to get feedback from people. As I said, 66 is going through a bit of a re-edit right now, even though it's launching in, 3 weeks?
Quick edit. A day one patch.
Day one patch, yeah. Yeah, so, I'm done with microbits. I'm not going to change that now. I'm done with Book of Deaths. I'm not going to change that. So they're, as far as I'm concerned, they're now done. I think when 66 launches at the start of June, I don't think I'm going to go back to that because I've spent more time on this book than any other book I've done. And this last edit I'm doing, I think, will be the last. So, that will be done when that's out. That's it. There won't be a revision of that now.
What quite funny is because I speak to a lot of game developers, and there's a kind of thing in the game development world called perfection syndrome.
Yeah,
where you've made your game's finished, it's ready to go, but you perfect it and you perfect it and you perfect it, and you end up 3 months down the line you've completely knackered your game.
Yeah,
and I found it funny that you're writing these gaming books, launching them.
Yeah, kind of do the same thing.
Like, you're writing books about gaming and you've still got perfection syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the content, I think I'll pretty much get it first time, but I do let little mistakes slip in. Because when you're reading the same book, I mean, I've read 66 now probably 7 times, 8 times now, editing it and everything, and you just get word blind because you read the same thing over and over and over again, so your mind skips words and so on, so little mistakes slip in, and that annoys me. It's not something I do intentionally, it just slips in. So I do have that.
My favorite one when I first got the copy of Micro Brits, which I'm never going to let you live down because I've never played the game Secret of Money Island.
Oh no, yeah, that nearly made it into the 66 as well, because there's a reference to Monkey Island, and I very nearly put Money Island in just for a joke.
I did see it and went, oh. And I told my missus, does he say Money Island? No, he doesn't.
I like that though. It's kind of like a private joke just between you and me.
Hopefully thousands of people are going to buy this book, but they won't get that joke. It's just me and you that get
exactly,
it. Yeah. But no, I get what you're saying. Like, the reason I put all that up is not to like shame you have a go, but it's just that kind of thing of you read and you edit and you reread and you re-edit. So you kind of get word blind's a perfect word for it.
Yeah.
Because you just see monkey. You've read it that many times. You don't notice the K is missing.
Your brain sees something different.
Your brain sees what it wants to see.
Yeah, and so it just automatically skips a word or a sentence because you've seen it and read it so many times. So,
or it might be a case of because you're looking for grammar, you're not looking at spelling.
Yeah, that's
so your brain just ignores spelling because you're looking for commas and whatnot.
And vice versa.
So I find it how annoyed because, like I said, with Secret of Money Island and stuff, like you can't blame a spell check for that, because you go like, well, use a spell checker. Well, it's spelt right.
Yeah, exactly. The word's spelt right. It's just the title overall isn't right. Yeah, as I said, that you just skip over it because you've read it so many times. So it is what it is. It happens.
So we'll wrap up because I've been keeping quite a while. So before we finish, I just want to know, do you want to tell people why they should buy this book?
That's the one, yeah.
This one,
because it's a bloody good read, because it's full of information that can educate you. There's stuff in there that even I didn't know at the time until I started writing it and researching. Because for 11 quid, there's a hell of a lot of content. Because it's a funny, good read. It's a relaxing read. It's not analytical. It's not clinical. It's funny. It's anecdotal. So it's just a good laugh as well.
One thing I loved back when you first told me this, what you were writing, and you sent me the first chapter many moons ago, and I initially just went, oh, brilliant, you're writing this book of important games. It's kind of, I figured it'd be aimed at kind of our age and our demographic.
Yeah.
Now I've read it, I'm going like, well, my 17-year-old son should read this, because it kind of teaches you about gaming, like everything you need to know.
Yeah, definitely. It is a good history lesson. As I say, it goes from pretty much the start of gaming right up to modern day. So you've got an entire, it covers like 50 years of gaming. That's a lot.
But you see, like, I think Micro Brits, well, I absolutely adore it. I think that's kind of aimed at our generation. We grew up playing those games, and we grew up in that golden age of British gaming. So it's kind of a trip down nostalgia lane for us.
Yeah, Micro Brits was much more specific and much more centered on, somebody of my age or somebody of your age. You're 40-year-olds, your late 30s that have been gaming for 30 odd years or whatever. It was very much centered on them. But 66 is much more open, I think. It's much more of like I said, it's a history lesson, really.
So if there's one more game you could add to it, which would it be? And why?
I'd say Sonic, just to shut up all the moaners.
The whole chapter is just going to be, it's in the book. Are you happy now?
That's what? I'm just going to write an entire Sonic book.
The
entire history of Sonic. There you go. That'll keep him happy.
Just call it Sonic the Needle Mouse, because that was his original name.
Sonic the book.
But yeah, is there anyone, if you could put one more game and there was a room for one more, what game?
One more serious game.
And why?
I don't know. That's a tough one. bloody hell, you're talking like 50 years of gaming.
I know, it's a big ask, isn't it? But
It is a big
because
ask.
the reason I ask it is because people are going to argue this in and that in and that in.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, well, if you can have one more, because people are going to, I'd put this and I'd put that in. Well,
Yeah.
I'll let you have one more on your list because I'm generous. I'm going to write one more chapter in your book.
I can't really think of anything right now because I've spent so much time working on this book that I'm just kind of gamed out at the moment.
Yeah.
And now I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. I'll message you later with one.
Because the thing is, I've been trying to think, like, if there's one more game, what would I add?
Yeah.
But going back to what I was saying earlier, they're not. It'd be like, Streets of Rage 2 or Dizzy or stuff like that. It's like, well, they're not.
That's childhood memories, isn't it? It's not.
That's childhood memories. That's nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's not importance.
Yeah.
I think personally, for me, if I could add one more to your list, I think I'd put No Man's Sky in there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Just because of the disastrous launch and how much that one game forced companies to change the ways for about a year, and then they stopped giving a shit again.
Yeah. No, that's a good one, but I kind of cover that subject in the book already there. So that's,
yeah, I suppose you do.
I do cover disastrous launches and so on. So I mean, it's a good choice. I couldn't argue against it.
But you're right. You already covered it. So you just have to cover the same subject twice.
Just with a different game.
And I think that's what you get with this book. What I love is when people go, "Well, this should be and that should be." Well, is it important or is it a childhood memory?
Yeah.
And then when you go, "Well, this is important for this," and you go, "Right, why is that important?" And they go, "Well, blah 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 blah." Like, but that's covered in chapter 7.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh fuck!" This is why it's important. That's in chapter 12.
Yeah. There is that element of. I honestly think I've covered the entire industry pretty damn well in that respect of different elements, from fantastic launches to games that covered the first of this to really bad launches to disastrous games. I think I've pretty much got the whole lot in the book. So
yeah, I think you cover everything perfectly, and you even cover gaming myths and kind of prove them. There's one famous, probably the most famous one that caused the gaming crash of '83. Actually, it didn't.
I think that's a fairly well-known story, though. I think the infamy of E.T. So many people have got it wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's not the worst game ever made. It didn't cause the game crash. So I think
it's just that the story is better than the facts.
Yeah,
that's simply what it is.
It's
a good myth to have. Therefore, we don't. Well, we've disproved it. We don't care. I'm sat here behind an Illuminati logo. I cover this every week. Like, this is a conspiracy theory. No,
I've got my Illuminati glass. So
yeah, the only I meant to bring mine up, but I thought I had, and when I got it, I realised it's my Leeds one. But no, I'm looking forward to bringing that back, and I love the fact that when you sent the books over and you sent me a couple of signed copies to give away.
Yeah,
I gave one to Craig, who's my co-host on the Illuminati.
Yeah,
and Craig went, "Oh yes, I've never had a signed book before. This is brilliant." And then just put it down, and went, "Does this mean we have to send him another glass?"
No, I'm all right with the one I've got. Still works.
But yeah, so this is out 1st of June.
1st of June, yeah.
On Amazon. So people just search S.L Perrin, they'll see all your books.
Search my name, search the title of the book. It'll be there. I'm going to be linking to it when it launches. So,
how much trouble are you going to get for putting your name in the Sega font?
Well,
is that copyrighted or not?
It's not, because it's not actually Sega, is it? I'm not using the Sega name. I've actually looked into that because I'm using the microbrick, the Master System art, but I've designed it all myself. I actually designed the grid myself. I didn't copy it, so technically, it's not Sega's material. It's mine.
When you look, I love it because again, it's the Sega Master System cover, so it had to be. When you see that, it's just so reminiscent of Sega.
I'm not passing out for Sega. I mean, it doesn't say Sega. So.
No, it doesn't. But anyone who sees it, any gamer of a certain age is going to go, "Oh, that's a Sega." I was like, "It's got to be a close tightrope on copyright." That
we'll find out. We'll see if Sega come after me or not.
Well, I suppose that's the difference. Like Sega are quite fan happy, aren't they? I mean,
I wouldn't try Nintendo one.
Yeah, I'm gonna that's what I'm gonna say. Like, Sega they got to all the fan mods and created Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
You put it in Nintendo, you're down. Nintendo don't care if 2 people buy it, you're getting sued.
I know, yeah. Hopefully Sega won't come after me. I think they'll be all right with it.
Yeah, I'm having a bit of fun. I think it'll be fine with it. But so this is our 1st of June.
1st of June, yeah.
How many copies do you need to sell to make it worthwhile?
To be honest with you, I don't need to sell any copies. They're printed to order, but I want to sell as many as possible. Obviously, I didn't write it because I wanted to make money. I wrote it because I really enjoy writing, and hopefully this will entertain other people. So,
I mean, this is one of the things I love about your writing is that you never get the impression that I'm writing this to become a millionaire author, because let's be honest, very few authors become millionaires.
No, I don't think it's going to happen.
But it is just, I get a genuine sense of, these are my memories. I've gone and researched my memories and found this stuff out. I need to tell people.
Yeah.
And it just does feel like that. Just like, I found all this stuff out. I need to share it with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's very much, I think, because it's written by a gaming fan. I mean, it's that cliche of written by a fan for fans, that kind of thing. And I think it really works. That style of writing that I've got.
But I mean, I honestly, I'm not going into territory blowing smoke at your ass now, but I absolutely love this book. I adore it. I can't wait to see my quote on the front of the next cover.
I was about to say you're praising it, and you're not even quoted on it. So
yeah, I'm praising. I'm quoted on this one. I'm quoted there. But yeah, I absolutely adore this. It is fantastic, and it's again. I don't feel like I'm insulting you or putting you down, but Micro Brits was a book for our generation.
Yeah,
this
definitely
feels like a book for every generation. If the first pad you picked up was to play Fortnite, you can learn a lot from this book still.
Yeah, as I said, it's more of a history lesson of gaming, really, through my own personal history. So, and hopefully a lot of people will kind of get that and get a lot from it as well.
So yeah, everybody, please go buy this 1st of June. I'll update the links below, but just search S.L Perrin. Buy this on the 1st of June. Can you pre-order it, or
you can pre-order the digital version? You can't pre-order the paperback.
Right, so you have to wait till 1st of June for the paperback. But while you're waiting for that, you can go purchase Micro Brits and Book of Deaths and all your other books.
There's actually gaming in Book of Deaths as well, so there's a link.
Yeah, there is gaming in there. Yeah, there is a link in them. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, Steve. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
And personally, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for writing these books. I thoroughly enjoy them. Thank you so much.
There's more coming, so stay tuned.
Definitely will do. So guys, go buy 66 the most important video games ever, according to me. While you're waiting for that, pick up a copy of Micro Brits. You'll absolutely love it. And Book of Deaths
with the new cover.
So until next time, take care.
See you, everyone.